Hello, my Facebook friends. So this is the concluding event of the Act Social Kickstarter launch day. If you didn't get a chance to earlier, I chatted with Patricia Madsen, the author of Improv Wisdom, who's going to be in the film, and she did a great talk about her sort of way to finding improv, and that's on my Facebook story and page if you want to check that out. But right now, tonight, very excited to introduce you all to Dr. Daniel J. Wiener, who is not on Facebook. And so, you know, maybe for some of you, a lot of you who are applied improvisers, you know who he is, of course, because his work is pioneering. He founded Rehearsals for Growth in 1984. Hello, Dan.
Hello, Sean.
So good to have you on with me here and to celebrate this day. I guess maybe we could just start off by just talking a little bit about Rehearsals for Growth and how you came up with it.
Sure. Originally, I was married to an actress, an acting teacher. Her name was Gloria Maddox. And Gloria became interested in Keith Johnstone's Improv, the book, which came out in 1982 or thereabouts. And she formed an improv troupe in New York City with professional actors who also became excited about performing improv. This is at a time when there were only a few improv companies scattered around North America, unlike today where probably most high schools have an improv team or troupe. So Gloria and her professional actor colleagues started putting on team improvisational comedy work performances in the New York City area. And I attended several of them. It looked very interesting and fun, but I wasn't allowed to participate because I wasn't an actor. I was only a civilian. So what happened after that was that we moved, or not moved permanently, but obtained a weekend home in Connecticut, and we started spending time out there. We began socializing with people who it turned out included quite a few people who were amateur actors who were doing community theater. And Gloria came up with the idea of giving some classes and teaching performance improv to this group. And this was my opportunity to jump in, which I did. And so after training us for a year, and Gloria was an excellent teacher, we started performing at a little place called the Stony Creek Puppet House. And we called ourselves, the community we were in is called Stony Creek in Connecticut. It's part of Branford on the Connecticut shore. And we started calling ourselves SKIT, which is Stony Creek Improvisational Theater. And SKIT did performances for about one a month or so. We would play against teams often from New York, once in a while from other places as more teams became available in that region. And we would do these performances as amateurs and enjoyed very much doing it. My own experience with it was that I was very thrilling. I was thrilled to be part of something which allowed me to expand the roles that I was allowed to play. So, you know, here I was a psychologist with a private practice in New York, and, you know, I had my professional persona as somebody who was reasonably intelligent and sober and rational and responsible. I could get on stage and play all these zany characters, you know, put on and take off a great number of roles in rapid succession. And it was very expanding and thrilling. And of course, everybody understood that it was just in fun, it was play, so there weren't any social consequences to it. I think that the emphasis in improv in many cases seems to be more on the process of improvising, which certainly is important and which I have certainly paid a lot of attention to. for probably about a year, year and a half, when one day we had somebody from another team come and do a warm-up with us in the morning before a Saturday evening performance. And this particular guy and one of the women in our company would get up to do two-person scenes, and the two of them, unlike any other combination of people that were present at that particular warm-up session, seemed to fall apart. This guy and this gal from our team didn't seem to be able to perform competently. They were falling apart. They were blocking each other's offers. They were missing each other's lines, and it just was getting almost prominently funny that they couldn't improvise, and yet either one of them was doing fine when they were paired with anyone else. Forgot about it for the performance, but by the next morning it had occurred to me that I'd seen this before. This was the kind of thing I was often seeing when I was working as a psychologist, working with couples, where two people, both of whom were very socially sober and aware and considerate and socially skilled, in each other's presence, performing their relationship in front of me in my office, suddenly became competitive. They put each other down. They were not listening to each other. They were not cooperating. And that's the connection I made on the Sunday morning following that performance, that improvisers need to do the same thing as people in relationship need to do in order to have a good relationship. So that led me into using improv in my clinical practice, and for the first while I was doing it primarily as a tool for assessment of seeing what couples could do with it, which is always something interesting because people sell themselves on their own rap, their own description of what they're doing or what they're like and what their relationship is like. And when you put it to the test of experience, which is what improv does, you find out frequently, as I did, that they couldn't do simple cooperative tasks even though they described themselves as having a cooperative relationship. So, and it was also a revelation for these couples who believed what they had been saying and were dumbfounded that they couldn't perform these tasks, which involves listening and attending to one another and yielding and giving their idea up in order to follow or to build on the idea of their partner. After using it for a while, I realized further that I could go on and start teaching the very skills they were deficient in by using improv exercises as a way of more painlessly and more efficiently getting them to learn to become more skilled as improvisers, which could lead to them becoming better in relating to one another. And that's what Rehearsals for Growth essentially is, and was starting from about the mid-1980s, a method for applying improvisational theater techniques to working with relationships. It also works with families and groups, and to some extent you can apply it in individual therapy, provided that the therapist is willing to change hats quickly and to step outside of the therapist or director role to take the part of another player in the enactment. So that's how Rehearsals for Growth got started. It has developed into a way of training therapists, and I wrote the book Rehearsals for Growth, subtitled Theater Improvisational for Psychotherapists, and that was back in 1984 that it was published. And since then I've published about 50 other articles and chapters, and been a co-editor of a number of books, and have developed a training program which trains therapists to use improv and improv exercises in their work clinically.
Wow, so it's your 25-year anniversary of publication then, right? And then 35 years you've been doing this work then.
Yeah, it's been a while.
So when you first started doing it, using improv in therapy, what was the reaction from colleagues initially?
I would be telling them about it. Of course, as a private practitioner, if I hadn't brought it up, they might not have suspected or known that I was doing it. dubious that one could work in that way, but then again, I saw that quite a few of them were intrigued, and in fact, the first people that I trained as therapists were colleagues who I had offered this to as sort of a workshop. I didn't have a training program at the time, but I would occasionally offer these workshops for people who were sufficiently interested. So I did that in New York for quite a few years, and some of them went on to study with me further and become more trained in using improv in their therapy.
And so how did the work grow to the point where you wanted to write a book?
Well, the book grew out of my experience primarily as a practitioner, and it more emphasizes the clientele that I was working with, which were relatively high-functioning clients in private practice who came to me, principally couples, but also a number of families, and occasionally some group work. I did a number of groups in those days. Later on, when I was doing more agency-based training, I would bring into my training some of these exercises, and later, of course, started offering workshops that were specifically and exclusively on my methods, and did agency-based trainings for therapists working in those settings. And everybody loves the work in the sense that it's intriguing and fun to do. Not everybody, however, finds themselves able to apply it, because to do so, you have to have enough confidence and enough resourcefulness to be able to adapt these methods to the particular clients that you're working with. This might also be a good time to point out that not all clients are receptive to improvising. In fact, I would say only about a third of all clients take to it without any hesitation or objection. Some never will, and others can be, over time, persuaded. But it's based, first of all, on feeling safe enough so that you have to get to know the clients, and the clients have to get to know and trust you sufficiently for them to start to stick their necks out and to do this work. And in a way, it's gotten easier more recently because improv has become more widely known in the general world, even though it's hardly, shall we say, common knowledge. Early on, there were very, very few people who had any inkling as to what it was that we were doing. So I would often just present these as being experiments that we would try out as a way of finding things out about ourselves.
Yes. Well, it seems like, it's reached a point where other applied improvisation practitioners that I know, they've all referred to you as a pioneer and sort of look up to your work as something that's groundbreaking for them and open doors for them. And I think when I watched the video so Rehearsals for Growth is a book for the people that are watching and don't know Rehearsals for Growth. Dan did write a book, but then he also did a video series, which was really a fully produced video feature length. I mean, it was like 2 hours long approximately, where you took a real case study and showed us, as if we were therapists wanting to learn this technique, what you would do. So maybe just for some of the people that aren't exactly sure, well, what exactly do you do in Rehearsals for Growth? Maybe you could give some of those examples, like what you had in your video.
Yeah, well, thank you, Sean. The video does show a particular case that I was working with that I had actually written up and then decided to adapt as a basis, or as the script you might call it, for making the video, a training video, to show to other therapists who might wish to learn the method. So it's called, the produced version of it is called Action Methods in Family Therapy, in Couples Therapy, excuse me. And the version of it that I had originally put out as specific to my method is called Rehearsals for Growth Couples Therapy. That is available, by the way, but I'm not doing the commercial at this moment. The question I think you were asking about is, what does one specifically do as a therapist in applying improv? general method or format for working with it is, as I was saying earlier, you first establish a trusting relationship with your clients, if you're the therapist, and so that they know that what is done in play is not something where they're being toyed with or made fun of or being irresponsibly trifled with. And also the exercises and games which are used in the beginning are ones which are relatively easy to do. Things like a mirroring exercise, which really doesn't involve more than simple body movement imitation of a partner facing you, which is used as an acting exercise quite outside of improv as well. And then it gets a little bit more elaborate, and we start to use the imagination more specifically. There's a game called Presence, in which one person holds their hands out to another. The one holding the hands out is the giver. The one who is looking at the hands and imagines a present that they then take and mime using is the receiver. And so the interaction between the giver of this imaginary present and the receiver becomes the basis for understanding A, how our imagination works, B, something about how we receive the gratitude of the person for having given us this wonderful present, even though it was really our own imagination which supplied it. C, it allows for events from the past which are coming into the minds of the clients to start influencing the way that they react to it. And I've written a number of published articles that describe specific cases in which the presence exercise has been used in varying ways. So I've described that one. There are 160 some odd ones that are mentioned in the book Rehearsals for Growth, and one can adapt and vary and add on limitlessly. So the exercises, in terms of there being a fixed number, is not at all the point. It's rather the spirit of improvising and the way in which you calibrate the readiness of the clients to adventure into these tasks, these improv tasks, is something that you feel your way into through clinical experience. So I'm getting pretty good at it. I've been at it for quite a while. Therapists who are still learning have to find their own way in terms of their readiness to move into improv, even though they know the games and exercises from the training that they get. And also one can tailor these specific games and exercises to specific situations. That gets rather involved to describe how that would work in general. But the artistry of being a therapist using these methods is to know how to improvise in the way that one adapts these exercises to the purpose that is currently available or salient in the case that you're working with.
Now, you said that you do it for families and couples. Is there, you think, a limit to the number of people in a group that you can effectively work with this?
I've done the largest group I ever did, I think, was 700 people at a conference.
Okay.
Marriage and Family Therapy Conference in Miami in 1995, actually, now that I recall. But that was really just as a way of accomplishing, you might say, social ice breaking purposes. It was not really therapy. In terms of a functional therapy group, I think you're probably looking, as with most groups, about pushing about the mid-teens. 15, 16 people is probably the optimal number, or the largest optimal number you can work with in a group, because otherwise you find it difficult to keep everybody's focus and to keep people from being too inhibited to be performing in front of a larger crowd.
Right. Yeah, I can see how that. Yeah, and that's interesting because most of the places that I've taken improv, they cap at 16 people. But also because if you're splitting into couples, that means there's 8 groups have to go every time you do an exercise. So it's just, how long can people, their attention span doesn't last much longer than that either. I think that might be part of it too.
Right. Well, what you can do is you can have people do these exercises. You can direct people
right.
to the pairs or trios that are enacting what you've directed them to try. So that, and also if you're asking people afterwards to give some feedback based on their experience, it gets to be a rather long session if everybody reports out on what their experience was.
So when you did the 700 people, is that what you did? You broke them into pairs and trios, or was there stuff you could do with the entire group?
I had them work. This was at a dinner event for the American Association for Marriage and Family Therapy, and there were people seated around round tables that had 8 or 10 people on them. So I had people break up into pairs, and most of the exercises were done seated between oneself and one's neighbor. That allowed them to experience, in a preliminary sort of way, the fun of improvising without there being a lot of other people who could or would observe, what you and your partner were doing. So it was a good way of getting people to broaden their social networking and connecting by doing an unusual activity with someone that was seated near them.
Yeah, that's really great. I can remember going to this place called the Agape International Spiritual Center in LA, and at the beginning, I think people get used to, at least I grew up Catholic, it's a little bit stuffy, doesn't seem that relaxed. And I remember the beginning of this service, this pastor would always have everyone do an exercise, like an icebreaker like that, with the people around them in the seats in the church, and it just made it much more fun to be at this church. I really loved going there. Those kind of exercises are really great.
Well, there's a general principle in life which the psychodramatists have taken note of, which is that you first, before you move into any action, you first have a warm up, and that applies to everything in life, not just improv. You don't start sprinting when the alarm clock goes off. When you've been asleep under the covers, you have to kind of move more slowly and more gradually and gently, and you gradually get out of bed and you're walking more slowly. But everybody has some experience that shows the necessity for gradually getting to a place where you can be functioning at a higher, faster, more vigorous, or involved level. And that goes on in life generally, and it's also true when you're introducing people to improv.
Dan, we've got a question here from a viewer here. A friend of mine, actually, we went to theater school together. He wants to know, his name's Carr, he says he wants to know if any of your clients who've had acting training showed more socio-emotional growth or progress with their partner versus those who didn't. Did you notice a difference between if they had had previous acting training?
Well, actually, I have had considerable experience with that population because Gloria, who died tragically in 1998, but who was an acting teacher almost up to the end of her life, sent many of her pupils to me for therapy, and they did have acting training, and they were introduced to these techniques. So I would say that I have some basis for comparison here. And I would say that they're much quicker, actors are, as a group, collectively, are much quicker to pick up on embodiment and varying their range, their emotional range, and of being able to hold character if they're given the opportunity to enact character in particular improv. However, that doesn't mean that they necessarily benefit or grow more from it. I would say that the advantage is more that they can do more advanced things more quickly without as much warm-up, but that they're not necessarily going to benefit more in terms of changing things in their life based on doing it. They're not less, I wouldn't say that they're any less capable or less likely to benefit or to use it, but I wouldn't say, on the other hand, that they're necessarily more likely either. But that they do start out at a higher level of being able to perform.
That's interesting. Yeah, because I think just being an actor myself and having had such a strong experience with improv on stage, Yeah, I guess I would just had a biased thought. Oh yeah, definitely actors would be better because but no, it's because it's about that present relationship. It's not really about the prince, being a better actor at a certain point. Because if you're still carrying the hostility towards the person and not letting it go, it doesn't matter how good you act the exercises. I guess is that why? I mean, because actors hold grudges just as much as anyone else.
I think it's because understanding yourself, coming from an acting background, you have an advantage in certain ways, but that doesn't mean necessarily that you have deeper insight into yourself, or necessarily are more perceptive about your partner or your others in your family. So I think that you're still a human being who has all those foibles and difficulties and limitations, as well as strengths and everything else. So actors are not inherently more psychologically healthy. Neither are they less psychologically healthy, but they have perhaps more tools at their disposal to more rapidly apply those if they're directed or encouraged to do so.
Yes, that makes sense. Now, Dan, we're sort of getting towards the half hour. We decided we'd talk. Maybe we can just talk just a little bit about the application of your work in terms of the movie that we're making, Act Social, which is about, conflict resolution, but specifically for world leaders. Maybe here's the last question. You could kind of just talk about if we could get you in a room with, some major leaders from Congress or the Senate or presidents, heads of state from both liberal and conservative sides of the aisle. How would you go about working with them?
That is indeed a significant question, and I can't claim to have any answers of which I'm completely confident I could do so. But I do have a few preliminary thoughts on that subject. And one thing I would ask people to do is to allow themselves to use their imagination in the service of being more playful rather than in earnest, because people are very good at being focused on getting ahead, getting what they want, avoiding trouble, what I call survival mind. And survival mind is fine, and it's a very necessary part of our functioning as adults in life. Politicians use it all the time, so does everybody else, actually. But in that world, in the world of kind of high-powered political and business dealings, what people often overlook is that the other person is looking for a chance not only to succeed and triumph, in which case you're focused more on who's going to get the upper hand or whatever, but also that we have in common the ability to be playful, to be connected to one another in a more relaxed kind of way. This usually doesn't happen in public, but in private, I think people are well aware of and are capable of setting aside some of their survival mind thinking. So being more playful, which we can always learn from our kids, means to allow ourselves to be other than realistic about things. And if people can put aside their concerns that they're going to look bad, or that they're going to be taken advantage of, or that they're going to be made to look incompetent or ridiculous, they can start to explore that side of themselves. And if they do so with one another, and this is kind of the point I'm leading up to, if they can do so with one another, a bond is created. So people who are in an improv troupe, even though they don't necessarily know a lot of information about the other's real life biography, they feel a connection. When you play with somebody, you are closer to somebody. You're aware of their ability to connect, to join, to be part of
Well, you know, Bob Kulhan, who's doing the film with us as well, he did work with the senators on their annual retreat from both sides. You know, he worked with about 40 senators, and you know, he'd be interested in doing it again. And so, if we can set it up, maybe the three of us could talk, you know, at some point, and we can
That'd be very, very interesting. Yeah.
strategize.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, this is exciting. I'm glad I'm going to be filming with you and filming your Rehearsals for Growth training workshop at the end of June. So I'm really excited to come and see the work firsthand and you know, really be there and take part a little bit in as you train some therapists. So yeah, I'm so glad you joined us on this call, and I'll probably post the video again right now for a watching party, so people who, you know, want to watch it now. So as comments come in, I'll let you know what people have to say if they have any more questions. And then because you're not on Facebook, you're not on any social media, Dan?
No, I made the decision. It was not as though I'm one of these you know, stuck in the 20th century kind of guys, but I made the decision while I was in practice that the boundaries were a little hard to keep between being a private person and being and functioning as a therapist. You know, clients will of course want to look you up and want to interact with you, and that's actually not without some problems. It complicates things. I'm not saying that that's a reason why therapists should never be on Facebook. I'm just saying that it led to me to make that decision to avoid it. I think this is long before any problems emerged in the larger context of invasions of privacy or use of your information for commercial and other purposes. But I'm just staying away from that. That doesn't mean I'm not available. I try to make myself available through email, and I do have my website, rehearsalsforgrowth.com, which I continue to look at and to interact with me by corresponding with me.
Well, exactly. Yeah, they can. You've got a website. You've got a telephone. You've got email. People, you know, it's not like they can't get a hold of you. I don't know if maybe you have some more. I've got one more question here from a viewer. If you want to just give a quick answer, maybe you have to go.
Sure. That's okay.
Okay. He wants to know: do you ever use any formal reflection, like workbooks or questionnaires, to help clients with feedback?
Is the question whether those tools are ones that are integrated with working with improv, or is the question more about whether I ever use them, things like journals or reflective writing or things of that kind for therapeutic purposes? Because the answer to that is yes. And the improv part of it is that sometimes I encourage people to write, especially to do some journaling about their experiences after the session in order to be able to assimilate, absorb, and suggest what they got from it. We also have the practice, which you'll get to see more of in terms of the post-enactment processing, which is done in therapeutic sessions with clients after an enactment, where the connections between what just happened on stage, their take on the characters that they play from the perspective of their normal social selves is, and also what events from their past were stimulated by the enactments which they performed in. So those are all opportunities to reflect and to enlarge the perspective on learning about oneself from the performance, which, usually in the heat of the moment when you're improvising, it's over pretty quickly. Its focus is rather narrow. When you come back to your social self, looking back on what's just happened, you have an opportunity to see things that couldn't see while you were probably on stage.
Absolutely. I find just as a performer improviser that, watching a video, especially for me, and then taking notes on my performance is, helping me progress much more quickly. So I can only imagine it's the same. with clients.
Yeah, well, I think people progress when they combine, action and contemplation in whatever field they're in. You learn from both.
Well, Dan, it's been great talking with you. I know every time that we talk, I want to talk longer and more. So we're just looking forward to the next time that we can chat. And
absolutely, and I enjoy talking about these things all the time. So
okay,
most welcome.
Great. That's perfect then. Okay, well, have a great evening, and thanks for joining me. Thanks everybody else. Bye.
Good night.
Good night.